good news for you. Amen. Hey, everybody, gather near. The doctor's in the house, so lend him your ear. The things he can say might even make your day. He might even help your pain go away. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is
The
in the
doctor
house.
is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, everybody, to Dr. Ron, unfiltered, uncensored, and welcome to a program today which could be life changing. It will present facts that will get your confirmational area of your brain buzzing. So we want you to keep an open mind, keep the duct tape handy if you need it, but keep listening. We have with us the Professor Brian Peskin today. But before I introduce him, I want to just tell you where we have been with this docu-series. Throughout this series, we've established that people do not die from old age. They die from, now listen to this word, cellular failure. It's one of the most overlooked components of that failure. A failure is a cellular failure. And that cellular failure is the integrity of the cell membrane itself. And our guest today has spent decades studying that exact issue. So today we're going to be talking about how medicine misses this process and just labels the outcome. And as we all know, medicine is excellent at naming diseases, but it's far less capable of preventing it. So the conventional model, which we all are exposed to, allopathic medicine, it waits for late stage breakdown. It confirms it through biomarkers, imaging. It assigns a diagnostic label. It manages the consequences. How? With a pill for an ill, pharmaceutically. This is not a criticism of clinicians. It's an honest description of the system and how they operate within. And the problem all along is that chronic disease does not begin at diagnosis. It begins silently at the cellular membrane level and mitochondrial level, often decades before it gets a name by a doctor. That's why seemingly people develop cancer, so to get heart attacks with normal labs and normal cholesterol, show cognitive decline with no family history. They're not anomalies. They are predictable outcomes of a model that detects cells collapsing, not cells struggling. So, in the first two episodes of this series, we established that people do not simply die of old age. Diagnosis lags behind pathology by years or decades. Early degeneration is bioenergetic, not chronological. And I'm so happy to, in this final episode, to bring in Professor Brian Peskin to integrate the upstream biophysics and biochemistry of this degenerative disease. And Professor Peskin's work will focus on three upstream drivers: the membrane composition, the oxygen utilization. How can you have 100% oxygen but not and still have symptoms of oxygen deficit and mitochondrial respiration? So no matter what, when membranes weaken and oxygen transfer drops, when oxygen utilization drops, when mitochondria shift from aerobic to anaerobic survival, this is the beginning of degenerative disease, regardless of the organ system. Cardiology calls it atherosclerosis. Neurology calls it dementia. Oncology calls it cancer. Endocrinology calls it diabetes, and so forth. So the future of medicine is upstream, ladies and gentlemen. It's engineering. It's not luck. It's prevention, not detection. It's metabolism, not labels. So at this point, we want to introduce Professor Peskin, who earned his Bachelor of Science degree in electrical engineering from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in 1979, where he studied advanced mathematics, engineering, physics, probability, and statistics. And how important is that in analyzing studies in the literature? He later served as an adjunct professor in the Department of Pharmacy and Health Sciences at Texas Southern University from 1998 to 1999. The professor is known for founding the field of life systems engineering science in 1995. And his definition of that is the new science of maximizing desired results while working cooperatively with natural processes of living systems. His approach applies rigorous engineering principles to the fields of human physiology, biochemistry, and nutrition. He specializes in the research on, this is really important, parent essential fatty acids, which he terms PEOs, which stands for parent essential oils. Professor Peskin has authored several books on the subject, including The Hidden Story of Cancer, which is published in 3 languages, and the PEO solution. He lectures internationally and consults with physicians worldwide on nutritional and health matters. So without further ado, we want to introduce and bring on, if everything works out good here, Professor Peskin. Good afternoon, Professor.
Hello. And you hit the nail on the head about everything starts with the cell. Excellent.
Well, I appreciate that. It's right. I'm going to just go on a rabbit trail. I first was introduced to Professor, I don't know, about 5-6 years ago. I've done over 600 podcasts, and
Wow.
I read something in the literature that said that fish oils don't work. It was a Cochrane report.
Yeah.
And following that trail led me to the professor's work. And the first thing when I talked to him, he said, fish oils are antifreeze for deep water fish. And I'll never forget it.
You got it. And they are.
Yeah. So that's we've been communicating for a while since then. And now I live in a senior community, a continuing care community, where I see people not feeling quite well. They have brain fog, they have tiredness, they have fatigue, and they are being told, yeah, it's because you're getting older. It's your age. Well, there's a lot more behind this, and I hope we'll get through some of this today. And if we don't, we'll come back again. But this is really important for all of us to understand. Do not accept somebody telling you you're getting old and you're feeling good. It's not. It's normal is not normal. I mean, normal. We'll get into that too during the podcast. You want to be optimal. You don't want to be normal. You want to be the best you could be. So, Professor, you know, the series has shown that disease begins long before the diagnosis.
Right.
And we were going to get here to find out what is the first thing that actually breaks. And medicine studies the chemistry inside the cell, but ignores the interface. So I'm going to put up a little diagram and see what you think about it. And how about this one in the center here? The hidden start of degeneration. So could you comment about this area?
Sure. Well, we have 100 trillion cells. They have a bilipid membrane, which means 2 circles around each other. That is oils, lipids. And the amount of lipid in the cell membrane, 50% is fat, lipid, 50% is protein. There's nearly no structural carbohydrates. Okay, so out of that 50% fat portion, 25 to 33%, a quarter to a third, are the PEOs. They are the brick and mortar of every one of your 100 trillion cells. Now, if they fall apart, the membrane leaks. Gee, that's amyloid coming out in the brain. that they're trying to show is the cause of Alzheimer's. And for 25 years, they failed. It has nothing to do with that. Getting rid of the amyloid is not the answer. Scraping it off, which they can't do anyway, it's keeping the cell membrane from falling apart. And this is physiology that medical school doesn't stress. I've even given lectures at A4M as the co-chair in cardiology, and I'll never forget, I had an MD instructor that after, the lecture I gave for an hour goes, "Brian, you lost me after 15 minutes." And I started laughing. I said, "Doc, you're too hard on yourself. I've given you 20 years of research into this, but don't you go through the physiology of the cell with your student, for an MD?" He goes, "No." I said, "Don't you have undergraduates in physiology?" He goes, "No, they don't want a degree in that. It's too hard." I said, "Wow." So that is the number one problem. Physicians in medical school, you would think, are getting grounded in physiology, but they aren't. And they're getting nothing in lipids except what's in the bloodstream. That's the transport system. The analogy, Dr. On, is like, I have a Ferrari and the gas is full in the tank, but I have no spark plugs. So you're cranking the engine, it never works. But the gas tank is full. That's not where you want to look. You want to look at the engine. It's the same thing as I look at the cell. I don't care what's in the bloodstream. That's not what is important. It's all in the cell, and that's where I live, and that's all I do. So I'm a theoretical physiologist. I care about the science, but then what I love is the clinical proof of what the science predicts. And it's always correct. So whenever anybody makes excuses why what they tell you doesn't work, run and give me the metabolic pathway that this supposedly helps. If they can't give you a metabolic pathway, they don't know what they're talking about. It's like everything in moderation. Fine. Arsenic in moderation, cyanide in moderation. If I knew nothing, I'd say the same thing. Minimize the risk of a negative by minimizing everything. There's no insight there. You need sharp, specific conclusions. And that's why I founded the field of life systems engineering science, to bring the accuracy of mathematics and physics back into medicine. And our results are unprecedented. We even had a 95-year-old woman slip in the parking lot. She slipped grabbing a car door, hit her head on the car stop, where you, in a parking lot where the car goes up against. No concussion. They wanted to leave the hospital the same day because nothing was wrong with her after smacking her head on that car stop. And she was taking the medical food I invented, Easy Trek. So she was pre-treated, and it was incredible. Nothing. Now, she broke a finger because when she fell from standing up, she hit the ground with the hand. But the head, CT scan, nothing. I was shocked. Even I was in amazement. So minimizing fractures, broken hip, wrist, concussion. Easy Trek is a shock absorber for the brain and the answer to fractured bones because it positively impacts the bone matrix. But we can get into that later. Everything starts with the cell, just like you said in the intro.
Yeah, let's let our listeners understand why your product is important, because we have established the membrane integrity is critical.
Food processing is a problem why all the membranes in people are ruined. Food processing, a quarter to a third are the oils, and the majority is omega-6. This is the seed oils. Everybody's telling you they're poisonous, they're going to kill you. They miss one word called adulterated, processed. If they're processed and adulterated, they are poisonous, but it's a dichotomy. So processed, adulterated, poison. Unprocessed, organic, essential. So to have the strong brick and mortar, average tissue is 4-to-1, parent omega-6 to parent omega-3. So there's parents' derivatives. Parents are the parents, like people are parents. And then the offspring are derivatives. So a derivative is like DHA, EPA, fish oil. It is not essential at all. Your body makes it. So everybody is being misled. I say lied to. I don't pull punches. Whether you're misleading or lying, it's all the same thing. You have an obligation not to mislead people. But whether they're all just parroting or they know when they're lying, I don't know. But the misinformation is killing everybody. Americans over 60 are so sick when they shouldn't be. It's tragic. My mom is 95, no dementia, nothing. She does use a walker just to make sure she doesn't fall. She doesn't even need it, really. But the mental acuity is like she's 40 years old. So just what you said, old age is not a disease. It's nonsense given by the medical profession that doesn't know this science because they don't learn it in medical school. It's tragic.
So,
But it's not
Professor,
doctor
let's
stuff.
go back a second.
Yep.
And explain to our listeners how someone can have a normal, oxygen saturation and still be functionally hypoxic at the cellular level.
Absolutely.
Everybody that goes into an office now, they get the pulse ox put on their finger,
Yep.
and they're still short of breath. Why is that?
Yeah, everybody's going to have 92 to 98, oxygen saturation. That's just from breathing. That does not give you any indication how the cell is working at all or how the mitochondria in the cell is working. Mitochondria are your energy sources. So there's hundreds of mitochondria per cell. So you have 100 trillion cells, you have 100 trillion times 100 mitochondria. And all the membrane in the mitochondria, there's no omega-3 in it. It's all omega-6. And here's how bad it is. Big internet guy, I won't put his name out because it's an embarrassment, was trying to say the inner layer, which is called cardiolipin, is supposed to be omega-3. It's all supposed to be omega-6. And there was a medical journal article that nobody saw. It wasn't referenced. Journal of Biological Chemistry. No physician is reading that, of course, but that's the kind of journals I live in. Actually said when you start taking the organic supplements that have parent omega-6 in it, it rescues the mitochondria and fixes it. So that's the reason the defective cooking oils that everybody's getting, the canola oil, the safflower oil, the sunflower oil, all of it's processed. The majority of the oil doesn't work. This is known. This is the adulterated, but it is the number one problem. It's our number one deficiency. So you can forget the vitamins and all that stuff. They're 10 levels less than the organic cooking oils you have to get. So Easy Trek is made exclusively with organic oils, and that is the problem. The average tissue is 4-to-1 parent omega-6, parent omega-3. The muscles, which are 50% of body weight, 6.5-to-1 parent omega-6, parent omega-3. The fat stores, 20-to-1 parent omega-6 to parent omega-3. So what are these people saying? Nature wants you to die, but having omega-6 from plant seed oils, which are the best way to get it? Of course not. They miss one word. It's called an adjective. They need to go back to high school and learn some grammar and take an English course. It's called adulterated process. So one word is misleading all of America and the rest of the world because the rest of the world looks at what we do. And I'd lecture around the world and go, America's ruining all you people. You listen to us. Why would you do that? We're the sickest industrialized nation on the planet. Your average person over 60 is on 6 drugs. Are you out of your mind? The average adolescent today has a chronic disease. 50% of the children. What is going on? Alzheimer's, dementia is hitting everybody. Autism never used to even exist. It was 1 out of 1,000. Diabetes is through the roof pre-1940. Type 2 diabetes did not exist. even type 1 diabetes was more of an academic solution. There was almost no type 1 diabetics. Now, type 2 diabetes, biggest epidemic in America and the world. And our
So
government caused it by misinformation. Look at, they just reversed the food pyramid. We can put a man on the moon. We can have a computer in your phone, but I can't tell you what to eat. Do you know how stupid that is? I'm embarrassed. I mean, it's insane. This is the state of the medical field today in America. And just
well,
like you
Professor,
said, they have names.
the medical profession is 10 to 15 years behind the science, and
Absolutely.
I think everybody would agree to that.
Absolutely.
And if I understand you correctly, the diseases that we're
Yeah.
talking about, dementia, atherosclerosis, it is due to the fact that this membrane is
Arthritis too.
let's arthritis, definitely. Let's say the membrane, for lack of another word, is clogged up with these adulterated
Correct. Doesn't work.
fatty acids. So the oxygen, even though it's around the cell, it can't get in.
Can't get in. It's just like a piece of plastic. I've had doctors say, Brian, oxygen's a low molecular weight. It diffuses in on its own. That's correct. Unless you put a piece of plastic there, and that's what you're turning your cell into. That's margarine. You ask margarine to a food chemist, it's a hydrogenated plastic. It has basically the same structure as plastic.
Right.
So you're running around with 100 trillion cell membranes that are plastic. You think oxygen's going in? No. That's why you can't talk fast. If you look today, Doc, everybody is brain dead. My joke is, it's tragic. It's the series, The Walking Dead. They have no memory. They can't think. I can't believe what's out there today. And it's all caused by the screwed up oils. Simple solution. Easy Trek is the answer. We'll talk about that later. Talk about more physiology, but it's all in the physiology that the physicians don't see and don't learn in medical school. So I'm very empathetic. It's not their fault. And then they can't read the medical journals because they have no time. They're exhausted themselves because they're treating so many patients. They're so sick. Every physician's waiting room is overflowing with sick patients. Saw a cardiologist the other day. We were talking about my science. And I said, Doc, are you seeing more patients for heart disease and cardiovascular disease today than a year ago? He goes, yes. So in spite of all the interventions, we're sicker than ever, and it's on the upswing.
All right, now let's hit on that point, because that's something I actually did a podcast on, the cholesterol derangement syndrome.
Yes, well, it's excellent.
And I want you to again explain to the listeners how this cholesterol hypothesis collapses, and explain how it's really the damaged membrane is asking the body, the cholesterol, to repair it, and how cholesterol accumulation is shown to be secondary. So go into that for us.
Sure. First thing is, pre-1990, cholesterol was never called bad. No medical textbook ever said bad. It took them 25, 30 years to get every physician going, LDL-C is bad. It is the most ubiquitous substance in the body. Cholesterol is critical for everything, makes all your hormones needed for the structure. What you need to understand in cholesterol, there's something called a cholesterol molecule, and all the lipids are tied to it. So cholesterol is the transport mechanism of these oils, and all the oils, okay? It's called a lipoprotein. You can't have oil floating around the bloodstream because it's mainly water. Oil and water don't mix, right? So the way nature does it is, picture a magnet. It's called condensation reaction. Doesn't matter. Technically, it's called esterified. See, medicine is wonderful, just like you said, have terms for everything. And I joke with the doctors, I don't memorize the terms. I memorize nothing, but I understand everything. You guys spend all your time memorizing terms, and you don't understand much of anything. So you have the cholesterol molecule magnetized to the oils. So decreasing cholesterol with like a statin was a great first attempt, because you're decreasing the screwed up oils. Remember, I told you, from food processing. Problem is, Doc, you're also decreasing the good oils. So the answer is not decrease cholesterol. The answer is take more of the good oils, So there's no problem. And Dr. Land's 1990 PhD biochemistry did a wonderful experiment. Others did too. The amount of good oil versus bad oil in the body is proportional to what you're eating. So if I'm eating 70% good oils, organic, unprocessed, and 30%, I have 70% good oils in the system, I can live with that. But your average person is closer to 50-50 bad oils, good oils, because some of the food, it's not processed. You're going to get some good oils. If you didn't have some good oils in there, automatically you'd die. But we're overpowering with bad. Every restaurant you go to is using adulterated oils, even the finest fine dining restaurants, because they've been misled. All the movie theaters stopped using saturated fats, which is the ideal oil to cook in, like coconut oil the movie theaters used to use. Now they're all using canola oil, which will kill you. It's processed, adulterated, poison. So we've been conned with the food processors. So Kennedy is wonderful trying to get all this fixed, but it's going to take years and big pushback. And they still don't understand the number one problem is the adulterated oils. So the answer is that, and even Brown and Goldstein, the Nobel Prize winner in cholesterol, said we need to be looking at the esterified portion of cholesterol. The answer we think is there. They never pursued it. And that's what I stand on the shoulders of these geniuses. So we figured out how to solve the problem. Here's the other thing. There's no cholesterol sensor in the bloodstream.
There you go.
Well, Brian, that's a genetic defect. Like heck it is. There's sensors for insulin. And here's how tight it is. 1 in 1,000. The sensor for insulin is good to 0.1%. Calcium, sodium, potassium, everything. Why is there not one for cholesterol? Because mathematically, it's what's called a dependent variable. When everything else is set, cholesterol can be whatever the heck it's going to be. And what they've done is they kept decreasing it because they're very narrow straitjacket, Big Pharma. Make it 250, lower it to 220, lower it to 200, lower it to 170. Now they're saying if you've had a first heart attack, lower it to 70, which, by the way, will kill you because it's ubiquitous, it's required, and it's also the transport mechanism of the good oils. They don't know what else to do. And even according to the pharmaceutical companies, the NNT number needed to treat to get 1% effectiveness is 100 people, which is a 99% failure rate. So here's the analogy, Doc. I make 100 iPhones, 99 blow up in my face. One of them works. Brilliant engineer. That's a great job. You got a 1% success rate. Everybody be fired. In medicine, genius, brilliant. That's why you need to put 100 million people on it to get, 1 million that works. Exactly. I say it's still a 99% failure rate. You're out of your mind. Maybe I'll be the one that it helps. And they admit it 1% over 5 years. Yep. And that's just luck. They don't work. Statins are not the answer, and that's why all of the cardiology waiting rooms are still overflowing. Getting the right oils is, and that's all my research, and Easy Trek is the culmination of it. So I'm delighted to give you the science behind it. I always start with the science and go to what intervention may be needed. Everybody else goes, hey, we need this, and then they try and look at the science, and there isn't any. And they make up stuff. All the TV ads don't even tell you what's in the product now. People can't think, have no memory, and the advertisers know this. All the ads don't even tell you what's in there. These substances are known to reverse this and reverse that, and this idiot put it together. It's like, what's in it? How does it work? What's the pathway? They never even get into it. It's sinful. I always start with the science. What's the metabolic pathway? With Easy Trek, it's impaired delta-6 desaturase, which if you have an impairment there, and there's 10 diseases that have it, including heart disease, fatty liver disease, diabetes. I mean,
All right, we're going
Skin
to get.
disorders. They're
I'm going. I'm
yeah,
going.
have an impairment. Yep.
Let's save that for maybe
Okay.
one more to say. Because I don't want to leave cholesterol yet because that's on everybody's mind, and you hit the nail on the head. And I would say more than 60% of people that have heart attacks have a normal cholesterol number.
Oh, it's 80%. 80% all the time.
And I want our listeners to remember and hear it from us that the cholesterol is a patch for damaged membranes, and
Yes,
lowering it.
remember, it's bringing the oils that are
Right.
essential, the brick and mortar, to the cell, and they're blaming cholesterol as the problem. That's why pre-1990 it was never bad. So it was made up. Even doctors around my work will say bad cholesterol and say, "What the heck are you talking about? It's not bad." Yeah, but I'm a regular doctor, Brian. Never forget that. So they're brainwashed. When you see something pounded and pounded and pounded, I can tell you the sky is red. And if I say it 100 times and I get 10 actors to repeat it, people start saying, "Hey, the sky is really red. It's not blue.
Yeah.
You just think it's blue." This is how bad it is today.
Well, lies are remembered 100 times faster than the truth, and we have to live with that. People remember lies incredibly right off the bat.
And the bigger the lie, the more they remember it. Not a small lie, an insane lie.
So we know that cholesterol is not the problem; it's the repair molecule. And I think when you said down to 70, you were talking about the LDL cholesterol, which is the transporter.
Yeah. If you've had a first heart attack, the recommendations, you could pull it up on the internet. Doctor told me this, and I said, "You're out of your mind." He goes, "No, pull it up."
Yep.
I've heard doctors say there's no lower limit for LDL-C. You can bring it to 0.
Yeah, I heard that
and
too.
If you did that, you're dead. And this is a top cardiology doctor. I won't say where again. I won't give his name because it's an utter embarrassment. But when you're getting this type of misinformation and it's obvious they understand absolutely nothing, they're killing everybody. And it's just unbelievable.
I'm going to give you another insane quote I heard from a interventional cardiologist. He says, "Well, you don't need LDL anyway. You're not transporting hormones. You're old enough. You don't have to worry about that." Forgetting that LDL also transport toxins. It gets rid of toxins out of your body.
It's bringing the brick and mortar to every cell. If you had no LDL, you're dead yesterday. And this is why everybody's so sick. Chronic illness, autoimmune disease is through the roof. Autoimmune disease, your body's attacking itself. That's among the stupidest things I've ever heard of. No, it's falling apart.
Exactly. All right, let's get to the questions so now we can get on to some prescriptions. So, is membrane damage permanent, or can the structure and function actually be restored? That's
excellent question. No, it is not permanent. Thank goodness. To get rid of the fish oil problem, anybody taking fish oil, throw it down the toilet where it belongs. It's antifreeze for a fish. Get rid of that. It will screw up. It gives you congestive heart failure. This was in a medical journal. Nobody picked it up. Again, I told you the replacement of the fish oil in the mitochondria, which is the energy source pumping your heart, gets replaced by the parent omega-6 that's unprocessed, unadulterated. The journal article said it rescues the mitochondria. Their words, not mine. 2017, this was published. Not one journal picked it up. And the journals like JAMA, New England Journal of Medicine, Lancet, never get the information from the hard science journals like the Journal of Biological Chemistry or eicosanoids, prostaglandins, and lipids. They never cross that barrier, unfortunately. So the physicians never get to see the state-of-the-art science. It stays hidden. So 18 weeks to get rid of the fish oil. Takes about a year to recreate the proper structure in the cell membrane, but you get better and better and better. You're on like a 45-degree angle, better. You keep improving for a year. Like I talk really fast, I speak really fast, I think really fast. I couldn't do this as a 30-year-old. This is all Easy Trek and the right oils. And everybody can do this. You take Easy Trek, Everybody doing this can speak faster, think faster. Just imagine what this is to your kid that has ADHD and is told there's a problem. The problem is the food they're eating, not the kid.
Right. All right. So the membrane can be repaired.
Yep.
There is a natural
Thank God.
mechanism to do that we have, and that's called Easy Trek. And so I want our listeners again to understand the process. You have damaged membranes, and if I get it wrong, correct me. You have
Sure.
a damaged membrane. The membrane then it will prevent oxygen from getting into the cell. The mitochondria will not function properly.
Correct.
Then you have inflammation, and then after all that's done, then you have something they can call a disease.
Yep.
In the meantime, you have fatigue, you have brain fog, you have aches and pains, you have sleep issues, you have arthritis issues, and everybody else they're saying, the tests are all normal. It's just because you're getting older.
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay. And
they don't know the root cause because they don't learn cellular physiology. Right. I even talked to the cardiologist that was head of Merck for cardiology. I said, don't you have somebody like me on staff working there that looks at lipids in the cell, in the tissue? He goes, no, we just look in the bloodstream. I said, that's the transport system. Yeah. That's the full tank of gas, but your engine is ruined. Well, we don't have anybody like you. I said, well, that's why you could never invent a medical food like Easy Trek. They don't look at this at all.
Well, I think we covered a lot today. I didn't know how much we get through, but we did. I think we tied in the other two episodes of how our cells get under stress, how our body can collapse silently while the medical profession misses the interface, that cell membrane.
Well, here's what kills me, if I can interject for a second.
Sure.
I see commercials on TV. My brother was perfectly healthy. He had a heart attack and died. So my first comment to that is, obviously, he was not perfectly healthy. You thought he was. What people don't know is 30% of first heart attacks, you're dead. Asymptomatic means I didn't feel anything. So we have a system, a machine, it's called Max Pulse, that can actually measure how clogged you are and how flexible your arteries are. Everybody using Easy Trek gets improvements with it. Yes, that machine there, it's unbelievable. Had an 85-year-old, 4 months Easy Trek, taking it BID twice a day. 2-grade improvement at 85. Went from a 6, which a 7 is you're ready to have a heart attack tomorrow. So he was 6, which was pretty bad, to a 4 in 4 months. Give him a year, he'll be a 2. I'm a 1, and I'm a cigar smoker. No exercise. 98 out of 100 arterial flexibility like a straw. I am a 1. Doctor in California, PhD in nutrition, is also a 1, and he's 72. So this works with everybody. Everybody's different, Brian. Really, you can go underneath the dirt and breathe like a termite? I don't think so. We're much more alike than we are different. That's the other thing. Here's a big medical excuse. We're all different. Well, that's a nice out, except we're not. We have the same physiology. What, you got 27 different medical textbooks on how a human being works? You have 1. Now, of course, there's different publishers and different stresses on it, like the textbook of medical physiology. But there's one physiology. We have to breathe oxygen. We can't be underground. You can't breathe carbon monoxide. You die. We have the same physiology. So we're much more alike than we're different. It's opposite to what you're told. Everybody wants to feel special. You're not.
Well, let's add another slide here, another comment. So you have cellular membrane clogging
and structure. Yep,
the structure clip, and before you get sick, you have vascular not loss of flexibility. So
Absolutely.
you lose flexibility before you get disease also.
Absolutely.
And that's why this test can pick up early disease.
This is very early stage. Blood pressure is years down the road. By the time you have high blood pressure, you are a complete mess. This device picks it up immediately, which is wonderful. Both the large arteries, like the aorta, the LAD, and the small arteries, like PAD, peripheral artery disease, is huge now. You don't need to have any of this. It's all physiologic structure, and Easy Trek is the answer to fix it fast.
Okay, but I want to get our listeners to understand
Yeah.
that this is based on physiology and biology. It's not
Yes.
selling a drug
No,
like a statin that's going to cause dementia and diabetes, and you're going to be taking drugs for the side effect of the statins and whatever. It's not
it's
designed.
sad. It's sad.
It's a physiological approach, not
Yes.
not a pharmacological approach.
Well, the drug companies go backwards. They get a drug that does something, and then they figure out, where the heck can we use this?
Now
I
look,
look at things, here's a physiologic problem, and then why is there a problem today? You always have to ask that. Why 50 years ago was there no dementia? Why in 1920 was there virtually no heart disease? 5%, 5% cancer. Brian, they didn't register it back then and didn't detect it. Really? I was at the medical library, Jesse Jones Library, MD Anderson, top cancer center in the world, 300,000 medical volumes. I had my hands on an 1850 Lancet. 1900, there were registries in America, New York, cancer, heart disease. So anybody telling you they didn't monitor it, they couldn't tell, needs to get into a medical library and learn some facts, because they're giving you wrong information. That's the problem. Everywhere I look, it's just wrong. And I specialize in giving physicians state-of-the-art medical science they haven't seen before. I don't regurgitate the same old junk. I give you new stuff from the technical medical journals and medical textbooks that they haven't seen. The minute they see it, it's, my goodness, I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. And that's the biggest problem today. Again, just like you said, 15 to 20 years behind the advanced medical science. And we never look, we start with what's changed. Food processing. Where? In the carbs, in the protein? No, it's all in the oils. And that started with, like, margarine. You could put margarine in the garage, it never goes bad, right?
Yeah.
No mold on it, no bacteria on it, no bug will eat it. They're smarter than we are. They won't eat the stuff because they know it'll kill them. You can leave margarine in the garage for a year, nothing grows on it. Picture you're eating that. We've been told margarine is better than butter. How many years? Saturated fat's going to kill you. Guess what? 1900, 1990, 2000. High resolution chromatography. There's no saturated fat in our arterial clog. Let me repeat it. No saturated fat in a clogged artery. Every doctor on the planet, except someone, integrated medicine like you, would know there's no problem with saturated fat. It has no bonding position. It's not in a clogged artery. How can that be the cause of heart disease? And nobody says a word. Oh, new research shows. No, the old research has it. You had 20 people, and they're all parrots. That's the other thing. People don't understand. Yeah, but 10 journals say the same thing because they all copy each other. Right. There's no independent research. I see the same charts. I see the same write-up, the same wrong conclusions. And I can tell he just took it and copied from this guy that copied from that guy. It's no independent anything. None of them understand a darn thing in lipid physiology. It's tragic. So we're state-of-the-art. We're the world leaders in anti-inflammation and cellular lipids. And I'm just delighted that you can get this to your audience and we can make a real difference.
We're going to close shortly, but there's a couple points that I think we have to make.
Sure.
And I think you have to, as briefly as you can, tell our audience how much DHA and EPA is required by. Let's start with the brain and the heart compared to what you get with a fish oil capsule.
Happy to.
Go ahead.
I've never seen this written in any nutritional journal. outside the ones that published the original research. 2 milligrams to 7 milligrams, depending on brain size. So if you're a 300-pound guy, which is a beast, 7 milligrams. If you're a small woman, 120 pounds, 2 milligrams. The average amount of DHA EPA in a fish oil capsule, 1,000 milligrams, at least 30% DHA, if not 50. 300 milligrams compared to 7. The average person taking fish oil is overdosing physiologically on a daily basis 50 to 500 times too much per day.
Wow.
Put this in perspective. Take 100 aspirin, call me in the morning. Don't. I'm being facetious. You'll bleed to death. That is what patients are being told, even by their healthcare professional and physician. The brain uses maximum 7 milligrams a day. But Brian, the eye has lots of DHA too. It does. Double it. Take 15. You're still at 200 times too much per day, which is incredible. We need next to none. And we're getting misled. DHA is made from the parents. No problem. Nobody is suffering that. And Dr. Rowan, co-author of PEO Solutions, said, Brian, there's 7 countries or populations that have no access to fish. There's no visual acuity problems. There's no cognitive problems. Nobody mentions this. It's like they're hidden. There's nobody suffering of it, and all the fish oil studies failed. You mentioned Cochrane, which is the world's best analyzer of clinical studies. They said fish oil is a complete loser. Out of 1,000, or either 100 or 1,000, I think it may have been 1,000 studies, they could picture 12 or 20 that were even adequate to give a study. They're not worth the paper they're printed on. There's mathematical reasons for that, with probability that the physicians don't understand and don't learn in medical school either, that 95% of the studies give the wrong result. So if I do 1,000 studies, 50 will show a positive effect of the drug, when in actuality it failed. That's the price you pay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like everybody to hear that.
Nobody needs any fish oil at all. And all the studies show nothing is helped by it. It does not help ADHD. It doesn't help dementia. It doesn't help Alzheimer's. Every study that's done post 2007 fail. Again, the gas tank is full. Adding more just goes in the ground. But they're a one-trick pony. Yep. They never get it right to begin with. Fortunately, we do, because I'm hardcore science. Nobody else really is.
So just a little rabbit trail before we go back to Easy Trek. Yeah. If you were advising a restaurant, what kind of oil would you tell them to use?
They can use, it has to be organic, unprocessed, unadulterated. So coconut is excellent. It's 93% saturated fat. Avocado oil, which is a monounsaturated like olive oil, has a smoke point of 440. So avocado oil is phenomenal, or coconut oil, or a blend of the two. But they won't use it because it's 5 times more money than the manufactured garbage they use.
But we want to go ideal first. So the ideal is what you just said. That would be the ideal.
Absolutely. Those two are great. I do French fries all the time. I use avocado oil, organic, and it lasts for a long time. The organic coconut oil lasts. You can use organic safflower oil, sunflower oil.
Okay.
Olive oil is not the best for high temp frying, but you can use it if you do a lower temperature longer. It's great for sauteing, but there's better oils for the frying, as long as they're organic, unprocessed, and they're expensive, but they last.
Okay, well, that's what people want to hear. You know, there
are answers.
We complain about the adulterated oils, but then we don't follow up with a solution.
Correct. So you always have to give a solution. Just complaining is insufficient.
No.
So all of my science always has a solution with it, because I start with the cause of the problem. What's the cause? Adulterated oils. 99% of everybody's problem is there. If you fix this, you've solved 99% of your problems. For most people, of course, there's always the 1% that has 5 problems genetically or something. But for 99 out of 100, this is your answer.
Okay, so I think we really covered more than I thought we would, and ladies and gentlemen, I hope you appreciate this. And Brian has a website, brianpeskin.com, and
Yes, thank you.
you can get the information. It doesn't show up too good on the sheet with that he sent me, but you can get information on the Easy Trek and on the Max Flow. And I could tell you,
Yeah.
just I'll give you just go a little personal experience of my own. Had a relative with a blocked left anterior descending artery. That's the widowmaker.
Yeah.
It was all fibrin, no calcium. He could have had 14 calcium CAT scans. It would not have shown up. So I was, a max flow test maybe would have picked up some decreased flexibility of the arteries, and that could have been handled. So the more I think about this test, I didn't think a lot about it when you first showed it to me. To be honest with you, I had to think it over in my mind.
It's state of the art.
It started. It really is making more sense every day.
Oh, it's mandatory for anybody over 40 that wants to know how good they are. But even if they don't get it, we know what Easy Trek does. It reverses the plaque, the occlusion, and it increases the arterial flexibility. And later on, I'll get you scans so you can see this for yourself. I don't expect anybody to take my word for anything. All I hope is people will do is, wow, that guy speaks really fast, really solid, sounds very confident, and then check it out, and this machine verifies everything I'm saying.
So Socrates said, I cannot teach anybody anything, but I can instruct you how to think.
Excellent.
And that's just what you said.
Excellent.
Yep. That's
well put.
All right, sir. This was a great podcast. I think it's going to get a lot of information there. And I'll just give a little hook to our listeners that we're planning something bigger in March. With live streaming and the ability to ask questions of Professor Peskin and myself. And if you're not signed up for my Substack, it's down the bottom there, docronradio.substack.com, docronradio.substack.com. You'll be the first to know when we do this presentation.
Great.
And then we have brianpeskin.com. This is name.com. Easier than Doc Ron Radio. But anyway, stay tuned. And I do appreciate you giving us the time and to listen to us.
Thank you.
A lot of time has been put into this presentation, and enjoy it. Pass it on. My podcast is really called Dr. Ron Unfiltered Uncensored. Dr. Ron Unfiltered Uncensored. And it's all over, just like everything else. It's on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enough of all this. Thank you for listening. And I have, again, a little closing number that has been recorded for me by Freddie Cooper, who used to play with B.B. King. So I'll let Freddie take us home.
I love it.
Hey, everybody, Dr. Ron's finished for today. I hope you got some good wisdom for what the man had to say. If it's all about good health, he's the man you got to see. He has a lot more answers for you. So tune in next week when the doctor is in the house. Or when the doctor is in the house. And let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Doctor is in the house.
All right, the doctor is going home.
That's